I'm a massive fan of video game music. It's genuinely one of my favorite parts of playing a new game for the first time. Getting to each new area or level and hearing all the different music is often what drives me to keep playing, and I listen to my favorite video game music all the time outside of the games themselves. About a year and a half ago, I went over my top 15 favorite video game soundtracks of all time, but I wasn't able to cover all the music I wanted to, and I've continued to discover new soundtracks I love since then. So I'm going over even more of my favorite video game soundtracks today, because I can never get enough. I feel like I have a pretty good mix of genres in my choices here, and whether you're familiar with these games yourself or not, I hope you can enjoy the songs I've selected. But I do have to warn you that most of these aren't from Nintendo games, so it'll be a little different than my usual videos. I also won't be ranking them this time around. They'll just be in random order since I don't want to torture myself by trying to choose which ones are better than others. So sit back, relax, and let's enjoy some fantastic video game music. Breath of the Wild's music is something that's taken me a while to fully appreciate. It's a much more understated style of music than usual for the series, but I've really grown to love that. The simple piano notes gently playing in the background as you explore are amazing, and there's actually plenty of memorable songs from the various towns, boss fights, and dungeons. I just really vibe with this game's music, and it's genuinely one of my favorites from the whole series. I know the shiny new sequel was just released this year, and while I think that game's music is better in a lot of ways, I still love Breath of the Wild's soundtrack, and I think it deserves to be remembered and appreciated. Tears of the Kingdom actually reuses a lot of music from Breath of the Wild, and the fact that I don't mind it that much is proof of how strong the original soundtrack is. But there are still lots of terrific songs that are only in this game, and I still love listening to them after all this time. The music of Persona 5 is probably one of the most recognizable parts of the game, and yet it still absolutely blew me away when I played it for the first time. This soundtrack is full of incredible songs, from laid-back relaxing tunes to upbeat high-intensity bangers. With long RPGs like this, having great music is essential, and for me it was the driving force that kept me coming back. The daily music that plays throughout your normal life is super chill, and all the dungeon songs are fantastic. If I'm having trouble focusing or just need to relax, throwing on a song like Beneath the Mask Rain or Butterfly Kiss will instantly calm my nerves. There's so much diversity in the songs, with each one having its own unique atmosphere and personality. Persona 5's soundtrack has quickly become one of my all-time favorites, and I'm constantly listening to it in my daily life. Tomodachi Life's music is simple, but incredibly effective and catchy. All the songs are super upbeat and fun to listen to, with melodies that will be stuck in your head for years. The music is such a big part of this game's strange personality, and it wouldn't be the same without it. There are so many songs that capture all sorts of interesting vibes, whether it's super romantic or plays during a divorce. Every time I visit the interior shop, I just have to stop for a second and vibe with the music, and that's a pretty common occurrence when playing this game. I'm also going to throw in Mitomo's music in here too, as that app had some really great music as well. This style of music feels entirely distinct and unlike anything else in the gaming landscape, and I always keep coming back to this game's soundtrack. Mii music is always weirdly terrific, and Tomodachi Life's soundtrack is no different. I always have a smile on my face when I hear these songs. Tunic may seem like a Zelda clone at first glance, but it really isn't at all. It creates its own unique gameplay loop that feels totally distinct, and the music is one of the biggest reasons why it feels so special. Seeing a small little fox running around with a sword and shield, you would never guess the music would sound this ethereal and atmospheric. This soundtrack is one of the most gorgeous in all of gaming in my opinion. Listening to these songs brings me the same emotions I had when first playing through the game. Feelings of wonder, exploration, and discovery. It's such a fascinating mix of energies, feeling both melancholic and energetic at the same time. If this game had a more typical soundtrack, it wouldn't feel nearly as interesting or engaging. This is one of my most listened to soundtracks. The music of Tunic is truly something special, and I'm so glad it exists as it helped me through plenty of tough assignments and stubborn scripts. I can throw it on in the background and it kind of just melts into my surroundings beautifully. Deltarune did the impossible for me. After falling in love with Undertale last year, I was convinced that there was no way Deltarune would have a stronger soundtrack. And yet, with the game only being partially complete, it already might be my favorite between the two games. There are just so many absolute masterpieces here, and all of it is incredibly catchy and memorable. The fight music is just as intense as I expected it to be, and the atmospheric overworld music is even better than I could have imagined. I feel like I'm already super emotionally invested in this story and these characters, and a huge reason why is the music. While I still adore Undertale's soundtrack, I think I'm to the point where I actually listen to Deltarune's soundtrack more often. And thinking about the fact that we only have 2 of the 7 planned chapters makes me incredibly excited for the future of this game's music. Gravity Rush has music that perfectly elevates the gameplay, adding a sense of weightlessness and momentum to the gravity-shifting movement. Flying through the sky as the strings blast through the air is such an amazing experience, and the music was one of my favorite parts of the game as a whole. The town music is incredible as well, being either super pleasant or super funky. I also love the music that plays in these abstract challenge portions of the game. They sound perfectly floaty, and they made me stay in these sections of the game way longer than I had to. And holy crap, the boss music that plays as you fight against Raven is incredible, and really adds to the epic feeling of flying through the sky during an intense battle. Replaying this game has me saying, oh man, I love this song, every time a new song starts playing. I still have to play the second game, and I hope the sequel has music that's just as incredible as this. Hi-Fi Rush is a game all about music, so of course it has a terrific soundtrack to go along with its rhythm-based gameplay. I've never really been into this style of rock music before, but this game was able to unlock a new part of my brain and now I absolutely love it. Straight up headbangers is the best way to describe most of the music in this game, and when you get into a flow and start timing your attacks just as the best part of the songs come in, oh man does it feel good. But there's also some super chill songs that play in the hideout that I love listening to, and I especially appreciate the song at the end of the credits that talks about how hard it is to create something. There's also lots of licensed songs included, which are fantastic selections that work perfectly. This game's soundtrack has this early 2000s Saturday morning cartoon vibe that flows through every aspect of the game, and it's such a blast to listen to. Splatoon 3 feels very similar to the second game in a lot of ways, but the one thing that made it feel entirely fresh and unique for me was the soundtrack. I think it's pretty safe to say that I'm obsessed with Splatoon music, and getting a whole new batch of songs to listen to on repeat with the third game was an absolute joy. Everything from the lobby music to the songs that play in Alterna are really great here, and the game continues getting amazing new music with updates. A lot of these songs are super weird and unconventional, and I've come to really love that about them. All the world building of the in-universe artists just makes everything even better, so you can become a fan of a specific group or artist and be able to recognize their style of music. This game blessed me with totally new Squid Sisters songs, which I never thought would happen again. The DLC hasn't even come out yet, and I'm sure it will have an amazing soundtrack too. I'm that person you should never hand the aux cord to because I'll start playing some weird squid noise music because I just love the music of this series so much. Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney Trials and Tribulations is a really long name for a video game, but oh man does it have a terrific soundtrack. I've talked about the original soundtrack before, and similar to Undertale I didn't think it could be topped. But Trials and Tribulations brings this serious dramatic energy to the music that truly makes it feel like the finale to the trilogy. These cases are complex and intense, with songs that capture that feeling really well. The feeling of catching a contradiction in court and bringing the truth to light is felt through the music, and it's such an essential aspect to the storytelling of this game. Without these amazing songs, I think the gameplay of Ace Attorney wouldn't work nearly as well. I was totally locked in while playing this game for the first time, and I just had to see the story through to the end, and the soundtrack made every moment feel as impactful and important as possible. The Pikmin series is full of great music, but my personal favorite entry when it comes to its soundtrack has to be Pikmin 3. Pikmin music has such a great natural sound to it, and listening to it feels like taking a relaxing stroll through nature, while also being attacked by wild animals and almost getting eaten occasionally. This game has such an addicting gameplay loop that always makes me want to play just one more day, and the music makes it even more addicting by adding a layer of relaxation onto everything. There's the beautiful ambience of the SS Drake, the atmosphere of the Garden of Hope in the early morning, and the cold yet inviting feeling of the distant tundra. There's just something about this game's soundtrack that really works for me, and it's my favorite selection of songs from the whole series. And those are a few more of my favorite video game soundtracks. As usual, there are even more I could talk about, but I'll leave it there for now. If it isn't clear by now, I love talking about and enjoying video game music, and I hope you enjoyed my list of favorites. Video game soundtracks can feel very personal and important for a lot of us, and I'd love to hear what your favorite soundtracks are in the comments. This video has been a labor of love for the past couple weeks, and I'm honestly a little sad I don't get to work on it anymore. But of course I'll always keep listening to these soundtracks, and I'm excited to see what amazing music will come from video games in the future. Thanks for watching guys, and I'll see ya in the next one.